Number 2, Florence Lassandro, Fort Saskatchewan, Alberta. Born Flumina Costanzo in Italy in 1900, Florence immigrated with her family to southern Alberta at the age of 9. At the age of 15, her parents arranged a marriage between Florence and Charles Lassandro in October of 1915. The marriage was not a happy one. They moved to the United States, but Charles ended up with a huge gambling debt. The couple moved back to Alberta. Charles got a job with his old boss, Emile Piccarello, also known as the Emperor Pic. Piccarello manufactured ice cream and owned the Alberta Hotel in Blairmore. However, these were just fronts for his criminal activities. Prohibition was in full effect in Alberta, and Piccarello was a bootlegger. He ran liquor from British Columbia into Alberta and Montana. Charles became involved in this rum running operation, and so did Florence. Piccarello's son Steve was also involved in this shady business, and it is believed that Florence was in love with him. Florence, who viewed Emile as a father figure and was fed up with her irresponsible husband, ended up living with the Piccarello family. In September 1912, the police spotted Steve Piccarello making a rum run. They chased him and gunfire was exchanged. He was injured and escaped to British Columbia. When Emile heard what had happened, he and Florence approached Constable Lawson at his home in Coleman. After an argument and gunfire, Lawson was fatally wounded in front of his 9-year-old daughter, Pearl. Both Emile and Florence were arrested. During the trial, no evidence was presented that showed which one had actually shot Lawson. The jury convicted both of them. One account mentioned that Florence remained silent through the trial, supposedly because Emile had asked her to take the blame, for they would never hang a woman. During the trial, Florence was dubbed the Mobster Princess. Both were sentenced to hang. After the trial, Florence's pleas of being innocent fell on deaf ears. She was hanged on the gallows at Fort Saskatchewan Penitentiary in Alberta in 1923 at the age of 23. Fort Saskatchewan was used as a Royal Canadian Mounted Police outpost, and 29 people were hanged here. Florence was the last woman to be hanged in Alberta. People still wonder if Florence was just a victim of circumstance, or was she really a hardened criminal. Today, several buildings that made up the fort still stand, including the courthouse where Florence was convicted. Many have experienced strange activities in these buildings. Unexplained voices and noises are heard on a regular basis. Apparitions are felt and seen in the buildings and around the grounds. One ghost that lingers is believed to be Florence. One noted encounter with her ghost was during a Fright Night Halloween event and sleepover the fort hosted for some young people. Darlene Breer, a member of the Fort Saskatchewan Historical Society and a special event coordinator for the fort, took this group of young people outside after the event. During this time, she noticed a thick fog roll into the area. Thinking it was strange, she took several pictures with her digital camera. Later, when she downloaded them to her computer, she saw a female standing amidst the fog. She became convinced it was Florence. Later that same evening, she went to check on the children, whom were bedded down in the museum's courthouse. As she walked by an adjoining room, she spotted a curtain moving strangely. She entered this room and saw this curtain move again. This time, it fell off of its rod and landed outlining the shape of a body kneeling on the floor. She bravely approached this figure and pulled the curtain shrouding the figure. Before her was a young woman who looked just like Florence.